Hi, welcome back to our Road to Steam series, a series in which we'll be creating a game from scratch. Previously on our HEUSS Dev Diaries, we implemented our first character Ragdoll. In today's episode, we create death animations for our enemies. Interested to follow the progress of our game? Make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell to get all the latest development updates every week. With our ragdolls all set up and ready to go, it's finally time to add them inside our combat sandbox. We'll create multiple death animations for each of our enemy characters. However, implementing them won't be a simple task. We'll need to overcome two specific issues to really bring our vision to life. In game development, ragdolls usually lie dormant upon the character model. When the character dies, rigid bodies are activated to make it fall like a puppet. For our game, however, we cannot use this technique due to a particular reason. In HEUSS, enemy horizontal scaling changes depending on which side of the battlefield they're on. If they reside on the left, the scale on the x-axis is positive. If they reside on the right, the scale on the x-axis is negative. By changing the scale like this, we can mirror all of their animations and behaviors so that they always face the player character. However, the problem with this is that physics does not work well with ragdolls that have negative scales. It often creates weird interactions between the character joints of the skeleton. So to work around this problem, we'll need to create our own solution. When one of our enemy dies, we spawn a duplicate of its model in its place. Its Z position is assigned to the character ragdoll row so that it remains behind active enemies during gameplay. To keep the scale positive, we rotate it 180 degrees on the y-axis if it's situated on the right side of the battlefield. This duplicate houses two important elements: the ragdoll itself, and a mannequin. The purpose of the mannequin is to have its pose serve as model for the ragdoll. We set its pose up by adjusting the position and rotation of its bones in the editor. When instantiated, the ragdoll mimics the mannequin's posture while it remains out of sight by being invisible. This starting pose is important to set up because it makes it easier to get a good reaction from the ragdoll when it receives forces. With that done, it's time to create our death animations. First off, we need to add a ground collider to our scene so that ragdolls don't fall below the landscape. We force it to follow the player character to have it always present where the action takes place. With that out of the way, we make one animation for each attack heights: high, middle, and low. We do this by adding forces on specific parts of the ragdoll when it spawns. We tweak the value of these forces until we get the result we desire. With this, our battlefield is now livelier than ever. But it doesn't end here. If we fast forward a bit, a new problem arises. Bodies start to pile up upon each other. It comes to a point where ragdoll animations don't matter anymore, as any time an enemy is killed, its ragdoll just gets teleported on a mountain of corpses. To fix this, we take advantage of the fact that our orthographic camera can't render the depth of our scene. What we do is create an empty space between the player character and the middle ground panels. To avoid having our ragdolls piling up upon each other, we make them slide along this empty space. After a certain time, they sink into the ground and delete themselves. As a final touch, we add a darkening effect to our ragdolls to keep the focus on our active enemies. That way, no ragdoll accumulation is present during gameplay, and our puppets are free to get thrown around the place. Now, let's see how it all comes together in action. Stay tuned for our next episode where we'll implement ragdolls for our weapon props. Make sure to like, comment and subscribe, and we'll see you next week with a new episode of our Road to Steam series.